Hello, I'm Sensei Alex Kakuyo, North American contributor for Buddhist Global. Thanks for joining me for this episode of The Ordinary Buddhist. The title of today's Dharma talk is Turn on the Light. Before we get into that, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when I post talks in the future. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that'd be great too. This time of year is always a rough transition for a lot of people, including myself. We've gone from the summer when the sun came up bright and early, which meant 9 times out of 10 it was either already up or close to being up by the time I got outside. It was sunny, it was bright, almost my entire day was spent in the daylight, and sometimes I even went to sleep and it was still daylight. So much light. But now we're quickly approaching the time of year where the opposite will be true. I wake up, it's dark. I do chores, it's still dark. It's pretty late in the day, it feels like, before even the peak of the sun starts to come up over the horizon. And unfortunately, in my neck of the woods, it gets dark pretty early around here this time of year. I've gone from having more light than I know what to do with when I'm outside to having to work in the dark. Now, this is just the natural ebb and flow of the natural world, and eventually the cycle will reverse itself. But in the meantime, I'm having to do something I didn't have to do before. I have to turn on the lights. Where before I could rely on the sunlight coming in through the windows to illuminate the inside of my home while I ate, while I wrote essays, while I did other chores inside of the home, now I have to flip on the switch. I have to do it to brush my teeth. I have to do it to wash the dishes. I have to do it to record Dharma talks. And while this is one of those things that seems fairly obvious in day-to-day life, it can maybe not be so obvious when we talk about our mental and spiritual health. Our lives, much like the seasons, go through ebbs and flows. Sometimes things are good. There's more light than we know what to do with. And other times, well, things are fairly dark, grim, unappealing. And in those moments, it's important to remember we don't have to sit in the dark. Yes, darkness is a part of life, but that doesn't mean it has to be our entire life. We, as Buddhists, have tools we can use to, quote-unquote, turn on the light. And by studying the sutras, we can figure out what tools are best in what situations to do exactly that. For some of us, that may be reading a favorite scripture from one of the Buddhist sutras. For others, we may find more meaning in a chanting meditation, maybe chanting Namu Amida Butsu, taking refuge in the holy name. And for others, we may just want to do a good old-fashioned sit on the cushion, sitting in silence, adopting the noble posture, and meditating until our minds calm and our vision becomes clear. Whatever our tool of choice, it's important to remember that while it is going to be light sometimes and dark in others, we don't need to sit in the dark. We just need to remember to turn on the light. Amitabha.